Hi everyone, welcome to Real Estate Millionaires Power Team. This is Jenny Gagatiga, airing to you a special guest with me. I'm super excited to have this guest with me. She is another Captain Marbles of real estate, and she would share to us a milestone how she was able to acquire over 100 properties, leveraging other people's money and create a win-win situation. She is also from Alberta. She was just here in Niagara Falls, Canada, Ontario, Canada, to have and be a speaker at the Summit for Keyspires. So, without further ado, I wouldn't hold you long. Let's welcome Tiffany Young. Hi, Tiffany. How are you?
Hello.
Welcome to Ontario.
Thank you. It's beautiful. I don't know if you can see. I'm trying to make it so you guys can see in the background. The falls are right there. It's gorgeous.
It's amazing, Ro, right?
Yes,
I was
for
just
sure.
there yesterday. Oh my goodness, it's relaxing.
It is beautiful.
Yeah. Tiffany, so we are aware, and I know some of your followers are so pretty amazed of what you have done along your journey of real estate. Can you share with us how you were able to get over 100 properties without, like, meaning leveraging other people's money and creating a win-win situation for them?
Sure. So it's a very basic strategy. It's fairly easy to understand and implement, but it seems complicated. But it's called joint venturing. So when we first started, we didn't have any money. We were 24 years old, and we didn't really have any experience in real estate either. So what we did was we found people that did have money and wanted to invest in real estate and knew the power of it, but didn't necessarily have the time to do it. So we would partner with these people, and we would do all the work. They would put in all the money. We would partner so that any profits we made in a property, we would split 50-50. So they brought their asset, which was money. I brought my asset, which was time. And we partnered on these properties and we made money together.
Okay. Can you share me the very first deal that you make out of those 100 properties? What was the specific one that you did for that?
So the one that we call our first joint venture deal, we call it like our first real joint venture because it was when we met somebody that we did not know, and we talked to them for the express and only purpose of doing a property together. So we call that our first one. So I'll use that one because we did have one that we did with my dad that we didn't know it was called that. And anyways, our first intentional one. So that one was a semi-detached, or what we would call a duplex in Edmonton. And it's kind of funny because it was one of my epic failures. I had gone out to Ontario to a meeting of other real estate investors, and I was trying to look for a joint venture partner to bring the money back to Edmonton to buy this property. And I left the evening meetup with a hole in my heart, and I was so upset. I was almost in tears because I felt like I had really failed at my efforts to find a partner and didn't really get any good conversations going. I was so new. I didn't know how to talk to people, so I wasn't portraying the right things. However, later that evening, I got an email, and it was from a couple in Toronto that were interested and said they'd like to learn more. So that was our first one. We bought that back in 2005, maybe, or 6. But yeah, and then we sold it about maybe 2 or 3 years ago. So we probably had that one for, I don't know, 12 years or something like that, 10 years. I don't know. I'm not good with dates, but
I don't hold it for now.
Yeah.
And how did you start up with a conversation that you're looking for a money partner?
Well, you know, we did a lot of really unconventional things. So we went to these real estate meetup groups all over the place, and we wore, you know, T-shirts that said we're looking for joint venture money. We, you know,
that's so unique.
Hey?
That's so unique.
It was a suggestion that we got from Don Campbell. So that was, you know, he suggested it a lot, but not everybody does it. And we did it. And we got people just asking us questions. And the first few conversations we had with people, we didn't know how to answer those questions. And even the first 20, 30 people probably we spoke to, we just didn't know how to answer those questions. But soon enough, we got really good at attracting attention to the properties that we had and then telling them why we were buying there. So whether it was, ROI or cash on cash return or, cash flow, whatever it was that really attracted us to that property, we got really good at being concise and explaining why. That's a big tip. People need to know why in a very short number of words.
And then the recent deal that you had for the joint venture, how did you start off with the conversation? Because this one is much full of confidence because you have done it over and over again. So how would you simplify for them?
So what I often say to people is just ask them outright, if they're interested in joint venturing or what, first of all, you go in with a certain mindset. You go in with the mindset of helping other people. So if you have a little bit of experience or education behind you, you're just saying to them, hey, what do you like about real estate or what got you into real estate? And you're listening to find a way that you can help them out. If they need a referral to someone or information, you're just there to help them. That's all. So that's the first thing, is just be a nice human and be willing to help others. When you then want to specifically talk about joint venturing, you can say to them, have you ever thought about joint venturing? And, either way, whether they say yes or no, you've kind of opened a conversation there.
And they would remember.
They will. And then specifically, you can say to them, if they're interested, you just say, so what is it that you're looking for in a joint venture partner? Just that simple. And that will often open up opportunity for you to then be able to listen to them. And if you can listen, you'll hear the ways that you can help them as a joint venture partner, whether it's, they don't want property management or they don't have the time to look at properties and it's too time consuming or whatever it is, you hear what they need help with and then you find a way to offer to help them. Yeah. And if you can solve people's problems, you will find partners.
Okay, that's great. And what about another source of funding? What can you share? Just a short tip for doing assignment or wholesaling.
So we did do some assignments and or wholesaling back in the day. So what tips can I give you on that? Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Well, when we were first starting out, when you become an expert and you really focus on this, you start to get a bunch of properties that you just don't necessarily have either the money or the time to close on. And so if you do find a really good systemized way of finding properties, then, just offering them out to others and being really clear in saying, I'm doing this for income. And if I could buy it, I would. It's that good of a property. But I can't right now because of time, or I can't right now because of money. And just put it out to your network and just say, listen, these are the numbers. Crunch the numbers for them. Make it easy, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And then offer it out. I hope I answered your question. I'm not sure exactly.
It gives a little nuggets and a tip as well there. And what is your takeaways for those out-of-town investors? And what would you advise? Do you need to see the property? Or what if you're located in somewhere in Ontario, but there's a great deal somewhere in Alberta? So what's your takeaway on that?
So, you know what? Michael Saraceni says it best. And he says, you invest where numbers are best.
Yeah.
So, regardless of where you live, if the numbers are better somewhere else, then you need to find a way to get into that market. So do you need to see it is the biggest question, right? So we always give the analogy of, if you were to buy stocks in Apple or stocks in Samsung.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah, would you have to fly down to California or wherever and see what kind of carpet they have, what kind of lights they have, and, do you like the table that they use or the desk? You wouldn't do any of those things because that doesn't matter to your investment. And in the same way, you don't need to see a property until you've crunched the numbers. So you can buy a property sight unseen as long as the numbers work and you have very good basis for believing those numbers.
And you analyze the numbers, right? And do a little bit of due diligence. You're just confirming it.
That's right, yeah. And then, you know, for those that are doing it for the first time, as much as most investors don't need to go look at it, sometimes if you're doing it for the first time, you might want to go out to that city, but we always recommend don't go out to find the property. Let your realtor, your investor-focused realtor do that. Once you find a property, you have it on contract, you've done your due diligence, you like it, on inspection day, that's when you'll go there to see the property. So you fly in, fly out, and then you know you're buying that property pretty much, and then you get to see it.
You have an overview already of what you're going to purchase. Last question for you, Tiffany. I know you're going to speak on the event. Okay, so if you could have turned back the clock, what would you do something differently?
Ooh, that's a good one. You know, it's not probably the answer most people expect, but we bought a lot of property. And quite frankly, I would not do that again. The average person does not need to buy 100 properties. So, you know, really,
how many need to be, like, just to offset your current full-time job?
Exactly. So I we wrote an article, and it talks about the average Canadian, based on the average Canadian's pension. Now, you maybe want to be more than the average Canadian, because when we're in real estate, we understand we can retire better than that.
Also.
Yes. But, you know, depending on your timeline, if you have 20 years and you're, you know, in your 40s or mid 40s, 50s even, you know, if you bought, let's say 5 houses and you let the tenants pay off your mortgages for you and you just let the market do the appreciation for you, so not a lot of work, and you bought places that you don't have to put a lot of time into tenant management, if you do those things, I would say the large majority of investors that I meet don't need any more than that.
Okay.
So, but again, if you have less time, you might have to adjust that strategy a bit, or, you know, don't take any cash flow and put it all into paying down that mortgage for equity or whatever it might be. So there's some adjustments, but most investors don't need to be buying 100, and it's not even advisable. We made a lot of mistakes and bought a lot wrong. So just buy right, buy smarter, and buy less. Keep your lifestyle up.
Just a 1-minute ad. Let's say your age around like mid 40s. How many properties would that be? Like, just point the numbers.
Well, if you're mid 40s and you want to retire at 65, so, you know, you've got 20 years of someone paying down a mortgage. Your average mortgage is 25 years. So, you know, if you want to pay that down a little faster, so you're in a 20-year bracket instead, you can, you know, take all the cash flow you get and put that to the principal of your mortgage. So let's say that that's going to knock off 5 years, because it often will. So you've got 20 years. How much cash flow do you need to live? Let's say it's $10,000 a month. So, right. So if you have 5 houses that are paid off and renting out for $2,000 per home, there's your $10,000. So you only need 5.
Wow.
And again, you adjust it up and down depending on how you want to live and all those sort of things. But really, it's simple. And this is one thing. I could talk about this forever, as you could tell. But, you know, we see a lot of investors having to leave real estate too early because they give up their lifestyle now so that they have a good lifestyle in the future. But what happens is they burn out.
Okay.
They're trying to live their life. They're trying to do it all plus real estate, and they burn out. So then they end up selling. They get some cash. They've had cash flow. They've got a little nicer stuff. They've got some money, but they don't have wealth.
Okay.
And so do whatever you can to keep your lifestyle where it is so that you can last 20 years. And that might mean having 5 houses instead of 15, or having 10 instead of 25.
Wow. That's a great, valuable information. Thank you, Tiffany. And we'll see you in some other time. Hopefully, you'll come back in Ontario. Or maybe I'll come back. I'll come down in Alberta one day. Or
One
let's meet
day,
in person.
I'm sure we'll meet in person. Yes.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Bye for now. Thank you. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.